Kenya is by far one of our favorite countries we have ever visited in the entire world, and truly it was way more special than we even anticipated it to be. So here are some of the things that shocked us once we got to Kenya.
Number one thing that shocked us right off the bat as soon as we landed is just how green Kenya was when we just saw it from the airplane arriving, and then also just throughout our whole time. Everything just looked so luscious, so green.
Yeah, even in Nairobi, like the big major city in Kenya, it was still full of trees and just beautiful greenery, and I don't know, I wasn't expecting that. I don't expect that in a lot of cities around the world. You never know like what the climate's gonna be, but I think our guide or one of our like taxi drivers told us that it was so green because it was like right after rainy season or in the shoulder season. So if you want to see Kenya when it's super green, definitely try to plan around that.
Yeah, and talking more about our whole experience in Kenya, when we went on safari for the bulk of our time in Kenya, that's when we really saw like all the grass and the trees and everything outside of Nairobi. And then once again, yeah, same deal. It was great to look at.
Okay, this one was such a big shock, such a great shock. As soon as we landed in Nairobi, I was like, okay, Jacob, make sure we put on like bug spray, like don't want to get bit by any mosquitoes. And then like even when we got to the Maasai Mara, we were like putting on so much bug repellent, and then eventually we were like, wait, we don't really need to do this. Like in Nairobi and in the Mara Conservancy that we were in, we saw maybe 5 mosquitoes. Like we saw so few mosquitoes that we actually stopped taking our malaria medicine because we were like, we don't need this. Like there's not really any mosquitoes here.
Yeah, and it just kind of depends on like how your body is going to react to taking malaria medicine, on if maybe you should keep taking it like we didn't, because you know our bodies, I guess, didn't really appreciate us taking the malaria medicine. We had some side effects, and so we're like, okay, we haven't really seen any mosquitoes. Like it kind of feels like we're safe to do this. And yeah, we just had no idea. This is the first time ever visiting the continent of Africa, and especially first time in Kenya, and so we just had no idea what to expect. And so we tried to keep everything as safe as possible, taking that malaria medicine before we got there. But then we're like, oh yeah, this seems like a pretty harmless area, so like let's just not do it. And so all of our fears kind of just like washed away when we're like, okay, we don't see mosquitoes here.
We didn't see a lot of mosquitoes, but we did see a ton of animals. And you can even see animals in Nairobi. They have a whole safari park there that you can like get in jeeps. And actually, when we were driving to the airport, we randomly were like, there's a giraffe right there. And we were in Nairobi, and then our taxi driver was like, oh yeah, that's like the safari park. So like, you don't have to go that far to see animals if you really don't want to.
Yeah, that was super fun. And yeah, you barely have to even like leave the airport section because they were just right there. And so you have so many opportunities to see animals. I mean, the safari park is kind of more like a zoo, right? There is a fence that they're inside.
But they're all roaming around freely within there.
Right, exactly.
Another thing that is on the same topic as this is like how beautiful it is that the animals and the humans just live in like complete harmony in Kenya. Like there's the safari park in Nairobi, and then when we were driving into the Maasai Mara, like there is literally Maasai people just walking by the lions and the cheetahs and like with no fear. And it's so beautiful because like we've made these creatures out to be like these like vicious killers that want to like kill you and attack you, and don't go walk into the Maasai Mara if, you know, you don't know what you're doing. But, like, we even did, like, walking safaris. Like, the animals aren't really trying to kill you, and as long as they, like, know that you're there, like, they probably won't attack you. Like, our Maasai guide was like, yeah, I walk 6 hours home. I pass lions and leopards and cheetahs.
And they all do it.
Yeah.
Like, all of the Maasai Mara people, they just walk around because they know that the animals aren't there to harm them.
Yeah, and they wear the bright red and pink so that the animals can see them and they're not, like, startled by them, because I guess that's where, like, a lot of attacks come from, is when the animals are startled, they'll, like, attack them. But they'll wear the bright red and the pink so that they aren't startled by them. And it's crazy. Like, there's a clip that I'll put over this where there was somebody just driving on their little bike and there's like a cheetah right there that we were filming. And I was like, what is going on right now?
Like, they're just not worried that the cheetah's gonna go after them, because why would the cheetah do that? They know what their food is, and they're gonna go after that, not the people. And while we're on the topic of talking about people, everybody that we met in Kenya was super open to just sharing about their life, about
their culture,
their story, and just about all of the people that live in their village back home.
Yeah, it was so cool to just hear these stories from, of course, like the Maasai people and the Samburu, I think I'm saying that right, or even just like the people that we met in Nairobi. Like, everyone was so happy to share with us and share about their culture and their families, and like, it was just such a heartwarming experience.
Yeah, and when we were talking with them, it kind of seemed like maybe not like a ton of people just like ask them like really deep questions, but there was one point when we were at our safari lodge and we were the only guests there. I guess like there were people that came before us and people that came after us, but I guess like this night when it was just the two of us, we really just got to sit down with them around a fire and ask them a ton of questions, and they felt like, I guess, appreciative that we were asking, and I guess that's what it seemed like.
And we like shared some things about like, we're always diving in the ocean and stuff, and they were like, with sharks? And we were like, yeah, it's the same like here as like, you know, you don't mess with the lions, the sharks don't mess with you, it's all cool. And it was just really fun to share our two completely different worlds with them. Yeah, just talking about our travels around the world, and just also like what the norm is in the United States where we're from. And they were like, kind of mind blown about some of the things we're talking about. Yeah, it was really fun. Which kind of leads into the next thing about how just truly comfortable we felt in Kenya. This was our first time ever in the continent of Africa, so we really had no idea what to expect going in. But even when we were like laying over in Ethiopia and Kenya, like in Seychelles, you're gonna see those videos next. Everyone was so nice and warm and welcoming, and we felt safe, and it was just great. We just didn't have to worry. Like, we just, I don't know, there was just, it wasn't much to it. We just knew that we were going to be taken care of by the people that we trusted to, and everything just worked out really well. Another very pleasant surprise, I don't know about you guys, but when I think of like Africa as a whole, I think of like hot, desert, sweating, it's so hot, it's Africa, but the weather was perfect. We were even like pretty chilly some days. Yeah, and there were some days that it was like cold in the morning before the sun rose, but then during the day it was a lot hotter, but it still wasn't like too bad or anything like that. Like, we were very pleasantly surprised at just how like comfortable we were. Maybe just like have a light jacket on, and then if you got hot, take it off. And but that was pretty much it. Like, we just didn't know what to expect, and we're like, oh wow, this is actually fantastic. Yeah, it was amazing. Just all of Kenya was like, we went into it thinking that it was going to be a really, really wonderful place, but our expectations were completely blown out of the water. It was so wonderful, and it just makes us way more excited to go to another African country, right? We were just like, all right, we're just gonna like try this out, experiment with it, see how it goes, and it was like as so good amazing as you could possibly imagine it, to where we're like, all right, we're ready for more. And we still have another Kenya video coming, so make sure you subscribe for that, and we will see you there.